Hi, this is Chuandong or Justina, and this is going to be a course on learned from Zen masters during Zen training management of a sexual desire and emotions that is taught in cultivation of energy, inner energy and outer energy, and management of such. This is something that is not recognized in mainstream medicine, and therefore it is not meant for everyone. It is for persons that find it beneficial and has experienced such individual that possibility by meditation, and that is enabled by meditation and interactions in groups in controlled conditions that are then extrapolated to workplaces. What is chi? Chi energy is energy that is associated with so-called vital energy and everybody possesses, and is visible as stamina in persons that can see auras, meaning that can see energy in a person as this kind of a glow around the person. That glow around the person has personal imprint and is recognized as unique individual. However, it can be transferred from one physical body to another physical body when persons are alive and observed also in items. That personal imprint has diverse dimensions to it, and one of those dimensions is sexual desire or pursuit of pleasure that is associated with sexual act, and that is isolated as energy in Zen training, in non-verbal training, and it is something that is visible or perceivable to persons with eyes opened or closed. And that is a description that is going to be quite detailed and to some completely impossible to realize or comprehend, because the teaching in Zen is empiric, meaning there is no explanation nor lessons about it, and when asked, persons are presented koans, which are mind exercises in which answer as empiric experience presents itself, which is very different than standard learning and observation of phenomena that my prior videos were about. The energy of desire appears in a context of attractive individual of opposite gender first, and can be translated and dissociated from that individual towards person of same gender, as well as objects. And that is sometimes training against resistance, meaning how much of that urge to pursue sexual relationship or that uncomfortable state of sexual arousal in pleasure that disrupts planned activities person can over time endure and dissociate from own physical form and later on from aura. Aura is again that field of a body, inside body and around, that can be as if so visible on physical body of another person, meaning sitting in a group, when person changes, the observing of that person with eyes closed or eyes open creates an impression of being presented with a different person and associated with it emotions. That is very important to know, that this is something that is learned to not to act on. So there is a strict rule of not touching persons. That's one. And second one, to not have continuity of negativity or of intense emotions, but assumption of good thoughts and good intentions as a natural state, and moving on past those impressions or misunderstandings every day as if nothing happened, as a de facto state, natural state of true nature that is supposed to be good. Let's now discuss the desire. In a group, a desire to a person that occurs during the periods of separation, for instance, going home from workplace or going from such training that occurs in temples or churches, person can have ideation of romantic type of presented during the day individual that feels like romantic love or desire and have a significant amount of craving. Now, trained masters teach to have that as assumption that this emotional state is perceived by that person in a non-accusatory form, and that person, because of years of training, is capable of administering a lesson by informing that person knows about being desired and loved, and that person can decide upon acceptance and involvement in such a relationship or such rejection, be it in person or remotely, for ethical purposes. Relationships that are non-conducive to long-lasting loving relationship of sexual nature are as goal deprived of the sexuality. So that person will reject it and not see it as a weakness, but as a so-called non-lapsus, but an opportunity presenting itself that not necessarily needs to be pursued or acted on, giving freedom of self of choice if that is wanted to be pursued or not. In dynamic that is visible as, for instance, blowing off energy, meaning if person's physical form and aura causes ideation of sexual nature, that person, for instance, perceives desire on own face and is able with own aura and willpower push it away, not blow it off on another person, not accuse or use another person to defend self, redirecting direction which causes harm, psychological issues, but confront the person saying, this is you loving me. Do you want to feel that way, or is it something that is not wanted? And in the moment of not wanting to pursue so, that energy is pushed away from that other person and rejected. In real life, that is skill needed and trained for in law enforcement and medical practitioners especially. And so that is the scope and that is the audience of that video, to train to not to get involved into unwanted by the person who is the author of that desire, even though those are pleasurable to the other person, relationships, by non-suffering, meaning that energy is unable to penetrate aura of that other person, and that person can push it away, rejecting it. And so in the dynamic of a group that consists of a person confirming, is this your will to desire and love me? If not so, I reject such. And then that is impeding feedback between two persons, remotely and in person, and elevated, as Grandmaster Wei Shui described it, to loving kindness, meaning gratefulness and love to that person for not engaging in such a relationship, and augmented to against resistance and contrasted with other types of relationships that are optional, presenting those as illusory, meaning as matter of choice, or something that, like a kaleidoscope, blinks in front of a person in contact and is devoid of permanent state by non-action, especially upon it. So the training again consists of when self acquires awareness of own energy and own unique bodily imprint, in rejecting when that sexual energy of another person arrives, involvement in such energy and pushing that energy away, and also recognizing that other person can flip through own physical form and provide illusory supply of impressions for a person that then self does not recognize as self, and that person recognizes as non-physical body, and that is when the rejection or acceptance cannot happen and the person is supposed to be still. What does it mean? It means that as if it was a wind passing through, the two interact and one is a mediator, in which that of a mediation the person solves by finding the right angle every single relationship to the best of outcomes. And the best of outcomes is in non-violence is harmony. And as one of my Zen masters mentioned, it is in rejection of desire that is a burden overall to harmonious society and life. The training, therefore, consists of observing, approaching desire and love, and accepting, changing it to loving kindness only when the self wants to pursue that relationship, as opposed to as a desperate intent to engage into it and then be unable to, in physical form, pursue loving relationship. Such state of emptiness, so-called, and the attitude of certain distance to phenomena appears as stabilizing to most relationships in everyday life, and puts emphasis on mindfulness, compassion and love, and calm composition of all of that harmonious group in non-pursuit of the sexual pleasures and relationship or children.